The number one overall complaint about model railroading that I see everywhere, hands down, is price. But are model trains really more expensive than they used to be? And if you're paying so much money, what are you getting nowadays? Hey everybody, my name's Jimmy. I'm drinking some donut shop coffee today, and this is Coffee and Trains. This comment section should be fun.
This video is brought to you with support from my patrons on Patreon. These videos would not be possible without them, and if you'd like to join the Patreon community, you can follow the link in the description below and join for as little as $1 a month.
Before we begin, let's talk about some of the coffees you guys are drinking. Honest GB Fan is drinking Twinings Irish Breakfast Tea, so tea instead of coffee right there. Robert Buxton is drinking Victor Allen, and Thought Engine is drinking sugar-free hot chocolate, so 2 non-coffees right there. Let me know what coffees or other drinks you're drinking in the comments below. Okay. I want to preface this entire video with a few things. The first and most important thing probably when judging this video is that by no means am I an economics expert. So take all the conclusions I have drawn with a grain of salt and make sure you do your own research regardless of whether you agree or not. The second is that we must understand the simple fact that model railroading has never been an inexpensive hobby, but has it gotten more expensive over time? Now to calculate this, I'm going to use a couple of variables. The first is going to be the federal minimum wage in the United States for the year that I am referencing, and the MSRP, or manufacturer suggested retail price, based off advertisements that I can find from various archives. I should note that I'm not using enough data in this video to produce a statistically viable model by most standards, but rather I'm making observations with the goal of spurring discussions and critical thinking. I will do my best to make one-to-one comparisons, but this is not the purest scientific approach. I will also be calculating based off of the 2019 dollar values because the last 2 years have been a little crazy in terms of economics. With all of that said, let's get into some numbers. We're going to start off with one of the longest running brand names in model trains, Lionel. Now, Lionel has certain products that, though they've been redesigned over the years, they are similar enough to models that have been around for a long time that you can be comparing them to modern equivalents. So I decided to go back to the 1950s. For this one particularly, 1952. Now here is a paper advertisement for some Lionel starter sets. These are Lionel Lines starter sets, and we have 4 different prices for roughly the same set. Now this is because each set has a different power supply, so we're going to take one of the 2 middle ones at $29.95 in 1952. Now, the cumulative inflation from 1952 to 2019 is 864.7%. Now, what this means is basically that $1 in 1952 is the same as $9.65 in 2019. By that math, this set would cost $288.94 in 2019. Now, we can take a look at a current listing for a Lionel Line starter set that is very similar. This one's actually on pre-order on Train World for $289.95. So it's $1.05 off the adjusted value of the 1952 set. Okay, didn't expect it to be that close. Let's try another time period. We'll hop to 1970 and switch scales and go to HO scale. This is an advertisement for a Tyco HO scale model trains, and there are several train set options. We're going to take the most budget-friendly set right here, which is $18.99. This is a set with a locomotive, 2 pieces of rolling stock, a caboose, a circle of track, and a power supply. Well, we don't have Tyco anymore, but we do have nearly identical Bachmann train sets. The cumulative inflation from 1970 to 2019 is 558.9%. This means that the set would cost $125.13 in 2019. If we take a look at a comparable Bachmann set on Train World, we can see that the set is $119.99. And that's actually a $5 decrease in price, roughly. Okay, so what gives? It appears that while, yes, trains have gotten more expensive in a pure dollar amount metric, they've kept pretty close with the value of the dollar. But I know we all feel that trains have gotten more expensive even since my younger days. So what's the issue? Is this just nothing short of sticker shock versus what we used to see as kids? Now, again, I'm no economist, so I'm using very basic and probably flawed methods for working this out. The federal minimum wage in 1952 was 75 cents per hour. That means, excluding taxes, you would have to work 39.93, or basically 40 hours, at minimum wage to earn enough to buy the Lionel train set in 1952. Now, let's fast forward to 2019, and the federal minimum wage is $7.25 per hour, which means that you would have to work 39.98, or basically 40 hours at minimum wage to earn the equivalent Lionel train set. So that unexpectedly lines up. I really didn't think that was going to line up. All right, let's apply that same logic to the 1970 HO scale example. The HO scale train set was $18.99 with a federal minimum wage of $1.45. This means that you would have to work 13.09, or we'll just say 13 hours, at minimum wage, excluding taxes, to earn enough to buy the Tyco train set. The modern train set was $119.99, and at $7.25 per hour, you would have to work 16.66, or we'll just call it 17 hours, to buy an equivalent train set. So a moderate increase, but not a ton. This continued to leave me scratching my head. Why does everything feel so much more expensive? Before I get into my land of speculation, let's talk about what a premium model railroad purchase will get you versus back in the day. Now, back in the day, you're really talking about just probably the exterior detail, and it's probably something that's more scaled properly. Today, if we look at my most premium locomotive, which is my Scale Trains -9 over there, it's about a $250 locomotive. And that's about $25 in 1952, right around there. And it is worth every penny, in my opinion. It's got rich sound, flashing ditch lights, a highly customizable decoder, not to mention the sheer amount of detail on this model. And if you compare it to the premium locomotives of the 1950s, it's about the same adjusted price. But technological advances have given us much more detailed models, so actually we're getting a better deal on the high end. Now it's speculation time. Here is what I think is going on in model railroading. I'm not saying that I'm backing this up by any facts or anything, but this is just my observations of what I think is going on. I don't think that model trains you can buy right now are more expensive compared to model trains of previous eras when you adjust the price. I do think there are fewer budget brands out there for model railroaders, which means that you're pretty much left with the middle and high tiers for model trains. And clearly, these are the ones that sell, or else model train companies would be making them less expensive and model trains would get cheaper a lot faster. Now, I've actually done a whole video on this issue, and I'm going to link that at the end of this video. I do want to hear what you think about this in the comments. Please keep it civil. Do you think that model trains are more expensive? Is there another factor at play? Or is this just sticker shock from when we saw stuff as a kid? Thank you all so much for watching. Remember, stay safe, be kind, drink some coffee, and happy railroading. Now I'm going to go read these comments.